guys. This week, as in many weeks, I ask you questions. I spend time asking myself questions too. The question for this week is, what does God expect of me when I am only a child or a young adult? Now, we often have answers like, well, I'm supposed to obey my parents and work hard in school and be respectful of others and treat them the way that I want them to treat me. But there might be some other ways to answer what God expects of you as a young person. Let's explore some of them. Now, I know that you may be thinking, I don't have a lot of experience. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge, being maybe 6 or 8 or 10 or even 12 or 15 or 18. I don't have a lot of money. I don't often have a lot of authority except for maybe things in my own room. And I haven't had much of a chance to build self-confidence from experiences that I have. Maybe a little, but maybe not a lot. So let's take a look at some of the stories that the Bible teaches us about kids and what they've been able to do in the hands of God. The first one is a story that comes from 1 Samuel chapter 17. And it's a story about David and Goliath. And it's a story of God using a young boy with a sling and a rock to defeat and destroy the fiercest giant of the Philistine army who was threatening to kill the people of Israel. So if you look at this story, what was needed? God's will that the Israeli people not be killed. David's courage, David's faith in God, and in an outcome much bigger than the people who were standing by could even ever imagine. And of course, David's sling and a rock. The next story comes from the book of John, chapter 6. And we talked about this a few weeks ago. This is a story of Jesus feeding 5,000 people with the lunch of one boy. And what was needed in this situation was God's plan for a miracle, the little boy's awareness of other people's hunger and his willingness to give up his lunch, and his belief that Jesus could make it happen, that Jesus could actually feed all those people. And the third example that I have for you today comes from Mark chapter 5, and it's the story of Jairus, a leader in the synagogue, who asked Jesus to come to his house and heal his daughter, and Jesus actually brought her back to life. So what was needed here was God's plan for a miracle, Jairus' faith in Jesus' ability to heal, Jesus' appreciation of Jairus' faith, Jesus' ability to actually bring his daughter back to life, and Jesus' plan for her parents and the disciples that were with him to see God's power at work. So here's the question. What was expected of each of the kids in these stories? I think that God was asking them to be who they are, and that with his help, he would enable them to do something amazing. That's what he expects from kids. To trust in him, to be courageous, to believe that his plan is a lot bigger than they can imagine, and offer what they have to help others, to have faith that miracles do happen, and just be available for God to use them in a story about a miracle. So, of course, I then ask myself, what have I seen you do? What has God expected you to do in your faith walk? And these are the things that I came up with, and I'm sure that there are probably many more. I've seen you deliver bags door to door to collect food for the hungry. I've seen you make get well cards for those who are sick and unable to leave their homes. You've designed pictures for material that has been made into masks to help keep people safe during this time. You have performed in church plays for a message about God to be given to church members. You've knit scarves and hats for the homeless. You've sung in Christmas Eve services to tell the story of Jesus' birth. And you've strung prayer beads for bracelets and necklaces that have supported people through ICU experiences and surgery and long-term hospitalizations. So, in reality, you already know and have experienced what God expects of kids. Keep being available to be a part of a story about helping others, or a story about a miracle that is bigger than you can imagine. Really. Take care, guys.